like to paint. I like to draw with lead pencils, so I can shade and give it texture, kind of.
I never could have imagined that I'd feel this way. I'm a very creative person. I feel more alive when I'm out there dancing or singing, and I like writing music.
I'm really outgoing and I make friends really easily, and I love hanging out with all of them. I love the beach, and I don't know, I like life. I love to just, like be me.
I tried to kill myself and got sent to a psych ward. That time I was 17. I got sent because she found out that I was cutting, and I wouldn't promise that I would stop because, I'd promised before, but I knew I couldn't keep it.
I was in the 5th grade when I first started self-injury, and at that time, I wasn't using razors or anything like that. I actually used toenail clippers, and I would clip big chunks of skin out of my legs.
And then I'd have to do it again, and again, and again, and again. You know what I mean? Sometimes if I wasn't home, I needed to get home. And then it turned into burning myself, which just opened up a whole new oh, this is good, I like this a lot, kind of a thing. And it just I could scare myself with it.
Self-injury is intentional harming of yourself for any number of reasons. It could be to cope with overwhelming emotions. It could be to punish yourself. It could be to get someone's attention for help.
14 to 24% of adolescents in recent research tell us that they've self-injured sometime in their life. Most often it's cutting, but it also can be biting, hitting, hair pulling. Picking is very common as well. The kid who's self-injuring really isn't any different than the football player who smokes pot or the cheerleader who drinks too much on the weekends. We all do things that are unhealthy to make ourselves feel better, whether it's a glass of wine after work or smoking cigarettes on our break or gambling on the weekend or shopping too much. We all do things that aren't healthy to get us calmer and more relaxed. These kids aren't any different.
A young person who is trying to hide their cutting may cut their stomach, may cut on their chest where a bra would cover it up. They may cut on their thighs. So even if they're wearing shorts, it's covered. That's going to be harder to detect. It's going to be harder to find the warning signs. You're not going to see the physical evidence of it. You're going to see more emotional evidence.
The most important thing to remember is to stay calm. Your response opposed to your reaction are very important in what happens with that child in the next half hour or so. The first thing to do is to get them to a safe place that's quiet. Of course, if there's injuries that are serious that you need to treat, do that first. Simply sit and listen to them away from where other kids can see. Just that time alone with them where you can listen to what their pain is, not look at their pain, because they're saying, can you see my pain? Not can you see my cuts? So spend time with them before you call the police, before you call the parents. Just sit and talk to them. Give them a chance to calm down. We usually recommend about a half an hour or maybe 40 minutes if you have that much time. Then of course, parents must be called, and you must let the child know, the adolescent know, that their parents need to be informed so you can help them get treatment for this and that it is treatable and there is hope.
It was really frustrating that I couldn't explain my feelings to my parents and be like, this is how I feel inside. And it was just always kind of a built up tension, and I would just act out towards people, and I would do rebellious things, and I would just kind of I couldn't figure out who I was.
A lot of things were going on at that time that were escalating with Paige. She was very emotional, very angry. We couldn't get in there to communicate. We just couldn't reach her.
I definitely felt something missing, and so I filled it up with everything I could, especially boys. I filled it up with a lot of boys that just broke me down emotionally and just didn't care about me at all.
Most of the time what we see is that people who self-injure have had a lot of invalidation in their life, a lot of consistent isolation, a lot of times where families don't get along, they don't have a voice in their family, so they self-injure to feel better, and they often do it alone.
I would go up to my room and be this awful, like, angry child and come back down and be like all happy, and like it was just like always this mood change of like, you know, after, and even if I wasn't upset sometimes, I would still do it because it was like I needed it. It made me really happy after, but it was only, I realized it was only a short while before I have to do it again. I want to take my physical pain, and I rather take it on the outside because I don't like being emotionally like damaged, you know.
When somebody cuts to cope, cutting is actually making their situation better. It's not fixing the environment, it's not fixing what's happening to them, but it's fixing them, their heart, fixing where they are emotionally.
And I thought it was okay, like I talked myself into thinking this is okay, like this is just how I'm gonna live my life. But as you go on, they get bigger and they get deeper, and like it's just gonna lead to, like, you know, you're destroying yourself, like, and you're never gonna be able to deal with the real problems.
So when I was 11, I came up to my dad and I told him what I was doing.
And Keenan walks up to me and he says, I want to show you something, Dad, don't be mad. And I said, what? And I looked at him, he rolls up his sleeve, and he's got these 5 biggest gashes I'd ever seen, like he had just did them. I got this excruciating pain in my chest. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. I realized something was wrong. I mean, deeply wrong.
At that time, that was when him and my mom were going through the divorce, which was a hard time for me. And it was a hard time for everybody, really.
We were always a very close-knit family, so that divorce really kind of threw the family in an upheaval.
I didn't want to depend on anybody. I didn't want to emotionally become attached or connected to that person because I was vulnerable.
In essence, though, cutting really, again, verifies and validates that they matter, they have emotions, they're real people. And so I don't take it as a horrible thing. I take it as a really dysfunctional way of saying, I matter.
They take the emotional pain and that they can't control and do some physical pain that they can control, and that overrides the emotional pain. You know, it's like if you're stressed out, you whack yourself in the thumb with a hammer and all of a sudden you're not worried about your bills anymore. That physical pain takes over.
They also have a history sometimes of abuse, and not necessarily just sexual abuse, which most people talk about, but also physical abuse, neglect, post-traumatic stress, someone whose father has gone to Iraq, or maybe a mother who has gone into treatment for alcoholism, or maybe the loss of a parent, or a divorce, or maybe they lived with their grandparents and they got taken away from them.
I can relate to like a lot of girls in situations of like physical abuse. I didn't know I had the ability to talk to somebody, and I thought that because that was happening or had happened that was who I was, and there wasn't like a life outside of that, and I thought it was always going to be like it is right there.
Sometimes they may want to die, and they don't know what to do with that feeling. It's just too overwhelming, it's too much. And so if they cut, they can take away that feeling of wanting to die.
It was just, I became like this person that just acted like everything was fine, but then I would fall apart and nobody would be there because they didn't know.
And so they cut themselves to have something else to focus on. They're in their own little world when it's going on. when it's happening. They also have endorphins that kick in and numbs the pain, so they feel nothing. And they actually check out for a little bit, they tell us, so they don't hear the screaming on the other side of the door. They're just focused on feeling better themselves for that moment.
It gave me like security. It gave me like a sense of power, kind of, because I know that I can take care of myself no matter what happens. Like, even if everything falls apart in my family or in the house or in my life, I can always have this thing that I can take care of myself with.
I needed serious help. I finally told my parents, I was like, there's something wrong with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need help.
It was a helpless, hopeless, horrible feeling for a parent, and just desperate, and wanting someone, looking to anybody and everybody to help us.
I didn't want to believe that there was something deeper wrong with Keenan than seeking a little attention. We don't have people with mental illness in my family. I mean, we're these type of men, and we're that type of men, and that's how I was raised.
I think when an adult finds a kid cutting, it really freaks them out. One, they don't understand it. Two, they can't figure out why they're doing it. And they don't know how to make it better. We feel helpless with it.
Paige actually came to us and said, I am afraid to be alone, and I'm afraid of myself. I'm afraid that I will kill myself without meaning to. And the first thing we did was look for references for counselors.
It's a big deal that they were brave enough to tell you, don't freak out. You've got to accept that gift of their trust that they've given you.
Wants to see their child hurt themselves. You know what I mean?
I think the biggest emotion is extreme fear. If my kid can take a knife and cut themselves, what am I doing wrong as a parent?
I always try to fix it. Always, no matter what it is, all of my children gravitate to me. If there's something wrong, tell Dad, he'll fix it.
And my reaction that I was scared that I was gonna get was him yelling at me or, very upset, angry. But his reaction was more supportive and understanding and wanted to give me help.
I came up on something that I couldn't fix, that I needed some outside help. I needed someone, a professional, who really knew what he was going through.
How do I not see my child suffering? Well, and that's one of the things we do, not blaming the parent, because the parent, just as much as the children, we're barraged with responsibilities, duties, bills, taxes, social media, ourselves.
The first meeting we went to, I was like, you know what, like, no, not gonna do this. I didn't participate at all. And I sat back and watched the parents talk and the kids talk, and I was like, this could help. And then I was like, wait, no, it can't. Just trying to stick to my no, it's not gonna work. I hate this kind of a thing.
It got better once I started figuring out that, yeah, I kind of did need to be there, and that it was a place where I could kind of be open, and that I wasn't the only one. And
I didn't want to go because I was scared.
When they first come in, they're somewhat resistant, as you would be as a teenager, and the parents are thinking about the commitment they're making and how long it's going to take. And once they get past a month or so, our treatment is 16 weeks, they're so committed to the program, and they're actually scared to leave because they're so excited to have a group that understands them.
Dialectical behavioral therapy is a modality of therapy that is, what I love about it is that it really takes the person as they are and sees them in the very best light that they are, realizing that they're doing the best they can under the circumstances that they've been given in their life, whether it's genetic, whether it's environmental, whether it's traumatic. And it takes them where they are, and it assumes that this person is suffering and that they really want to be doing better.
We had parent teaching time, they had peer teaching time, and then we had group time, and then we had individual therapy. And during the group time, you learned skills. They had these particular skills that they were teaching you. And we soon realized that these skills were for all of us. We all, while I was in it, I'm thinking everybody should be able to do this, because I realized not only is it going to help me with Paige, but it's going to help me in all relationships and for myself.
Before, I would just go to counseling with just kids, but now it was the parents and where they came from, and you saw how they felt about everything, and you're like, my parents don't have feelings, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? They don't know how to deal with me, like, kind of thing.
They're struggling, they're depressed, they're anxious. They need their parents there with them, one parent or both parents. In our programs, we always include families. Families heal together.
And so this therapy not only teaches skills for the kids, teaches the parents skills in paying attention and what to pay attention to, acknowledging their emotion, not getting scared about their emotion, but validating each other, and then being able to realize that we're not helpless here and we can work together and make choices.
They gave us a whole toolbox of skills, and we went away with a treasure chest of skills that I can now go to.
I'll always take the things they taught me in SHIELD through my life. Like, I deal with, that's how I deal with things. When something comes, I think of how can I face this? Like with one of the, steps they gave me or something. And it's not like a step by step. They're not like, do this, this, and this, and you'll be great. Like, they actually work through it with you and show you how to apply it.
It's just a world of difference. And I'm not saying that life is perfect. There's bumps, but now we have that tool chest to help us through the bumps.
They're learning tools, their family life is changing, their kids are back in school, they want to go to college, and all the dreams and hopes that they kind of let go of come back.
And I want to start a new day, and I want to talk to my friends, and I want to talk to my family. I want to be with my family, and I used to, if my parents were gone from the house, I'd be like, yes, no one's gonna bug me. I get to be away from people. But now that I miss my mom when she goes to work. I miss my dad.
She wants to be with me. She texts me when I'm at work. I miss you, and she's affectionate with me. I can kiss her on the cheek now. I can hug her. I can hold her, and we enjoy each other.
Now I I want to start my life. I want to go to school. I want to go to college. I want to have this life. I want to have a family.
When I'm cutting, I have those cuts and I can kind of it's reassuring to me. And so without that, there's nothing there. I get really nervous when something happens. I want to fall back on that. Every day it's learning kind of how to put that away or put that to the side for today and learn how to deal with what I'm going through today.
I still do get depressed, and when I get depressed, I want to do that. But I have these tools now that I can use to help myself from not doing that.
We know the triggers now. We know the cues. And then we know that we have the tools to kind of, okay, I know we're feeling that way, but this is what we got to do so we don't feel that way anymore.
This is our dance team wall, and here I am featured on the wall. It feels great. It feels really good. I feel like every day I take more of my happiness back that was taken away from me through depression.
I got my son, and I think he's gonna make it now.